Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott Lemrell. Hello, Scott.
Hi, Perry. We were having fun for about an hour, weren't we, before we started this.
Hour and a half, yes.
Perry and I, and you jump in anytime you want, Perry, but she and I were discussing a lot of things, not just information verbally, but telepathically, which is a shared wisdom that helps expand what goes into these recordings to be of benefit to people who find them on the internet, somehow by some miracle. My work was originally put out in YouTube videos from conferences I went to or even helped create so people could find it. It was never sold for money. I didn't monetize my videos. I don't charge money for being on Perry's radio show, or I don't try to sell products. Well, I do try to promote books that I've written, two of them, the Sayri's Agenda and the Emerald Doorway, because when people open those and get into them, they start to get the benefit of having their own direct experiences gradually awaken within them. That's the purpose of my work. So we do these radio shows, I think, once a month now. We used to do them every week for a long time, so that somebody can find them when they're ready. Something said or done in them will trigger something in people watching them. They'll have a aha moment and go, oh, gee, I knew that. How did I forget that? And then they'll research more about what this is about. Eventually, they'll have the courage to get a book, look at the technique section in the back of the Say Raise Agenda, and start really recovering what they were made to forget being born on this planet. So, I want to start off again introducing what this looks like. This is a mile-long Emerald Star cruiser, cylindrical, bridge control windows, disc-shaped ships entering the midsection. There's no open launch bay doors. They change their molecular time rate and can move through the metal hull and then lower the time rate and land in a hangar bay. There's an identical bridge control on the back side of this craft. It is floating stationary in the ice rings, these big chunks of water, the frozen, that make up the rings of the planet Saturn. And it is here from the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds to help quarantine this solar system and protect Earth and its people from destroying themselves, and to keep tyrants who in small number came to Earth to experiment on people outside of this outside of this solar system. So they police our solar system right now. This is very important because this is about what extraterrestrials are doing out in space right now that has changed, that makes them more focused and interested in helping our world survive. That's one thing. The Emerald Doorway, book one of the Parallel Time trilogy, has a certain image of a type of being in this book called the Ancient One, which comes from a realm far above what certain Buddhist people and esoteric groups call the void, many dimensions above the planes of physical matter. And this master being, Ramu, is teaching this human, Caucasian alien, this woman with blue skin from another planet, also human, and this silica-based creature named Etta, about their true nature. What these three beings at this point in this book don't know is they have one of these spherical energy forms floating above their heads. That is what advanced extraterrestrials call Atma. People on Earth call it soul, but this is what it actually looks like. It's not like one of these. So this is more about extraterrestrial involvement, human and otherwise, in the affairs of our solar system and planet Earth before the last polar shift, which destroyed continents like Lemuria, a big continent 2/3 its size on the other side of the equator called Atlantis. That was 100,000 years ago. Polar flips of our planet have been permanently stopped. You can find out more about that and how that happened through this work. There's over 30 illustrations in this book of key characters and scenes. This is to help people recover who and what they were and what they did in other lives before they ever lived on this planet that they were made to forget in coming here. That's important. Okay, now, believe me when I say I know from long experience it takes a while for people to even get up the courage to even get a book like that and explore it, because it's not designed to be mindless entertainment. It's a doorway that channels a certain kind of pure energy that helps people recover who they are. The only way people are going to find it out is to explore it for themselves. There is no other way. Okay, enough said on that. So Perry, we were talking about many things. Health.
Yeah.
Our focus was generally on how do we have, while we're here on Earth, the best healthy life we can in the best way while we're alive, where our body is vital. How do we do that? Part of it is by working with the first sound behind all creation. It is that field of energy.
That is the main important part.
It's the field of energy that exists outside of the planet's atmosphere, that is between the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun, and the stars and the galaxies. In a Hubble telescope image, it looks like black, like it's a black void with all these galaxies floating in it, but it isn't. It's a white golden light field of energy. People on Earth call it 0 point or toroidal energy, the energy of the universe. And that energy out there, although there's no oxygen out there, it is a type of energy that does not adhere to the laws of physical matter. It supports everything that floats in electromagnetic fields in it. It is an energy before time and space. It is an energy before molecules and atoms and DNA and experiments like these bodies that were designed to be developed over time so that the Atma, which is spherical, soul, can run it. And have outside and have higher faculties of being work through the genetic structure of that body. So you can bring an enlightened awareness to a body on Earth, live completely different than what people understand yet, and live a good life and a healthy life until you're ready to go. So this comes back to, what do we do? Well, working with the hue raises vibration automatically, and it provides a certain kind of protection to your own enlightening recovery of awareness. And I mean recovery, which means it's been suppressed. In an ancient past, you've been made to forget. And that's reversible. So it helps to do that in a constructive, balanced way, so as it's happening, your life becomes more balanced. One of the side effects of working with the first half of the word human being, or the hue, is it creates a doorway through the pineal gland, the center of the brain, that connects telepathically right into the 0 point or toroidal energy that's underlying everything in creation, all the way up through different dimensions. It's one energy, a first energy. And it's a telepathic medium, not psychic, telepathic. There is a difference. Telepathy works with an energy that is non-nuclear, non-atomic. It's not positive and negative. It's not good and bad. It's not white magic and black magic. It's none of those things. It is what supports all life, whether it abuses life or is kind to life. This is how this energy has supported things for billions of years. When we start to consciously connect into it, it begins to teach us, protect us, and guide our lives to have our own direct experiences, not just faith or belief. That's not enough. Good faith and belief should lead to direct experience of knowing, the recovery of being confident and certain about things. That's the native state of each Atma, and that's been manipulated and suppressed. The Atma itself cannot be destroyed by tyrants or nuclear energy or advanced extraterrestrial technology or anything. But it can have an energy field put around it that can distort its perceptions. That, too, can be neutralized. When we start working on Earth recovering these things, we find that we cross paths with things we didn't know were on Earth. Cures for cancer. I don't mean giving you drugs to placate symptoms, which is allopathic medicine, brought into the world at the turn of the century by industrialists to control what people are taught in universities for PhD programs to be a doctor, PhD programs to be doctors. It means it is the application of drugs and other things with side effects to placate symptoms, but they will not address curing anything. You'll notice this in both vets and in doctors. They harm life more than they help it in a lot of ways because they don't know what they're doing. If someone gets in an accident and their bones are broken and they're bleeding, yes, doctors are very good today at healing the bones, giving you blood transfusion, sewing you up, and saving your life. But they don't address the cure of disease at all. This is not an advanced planet medically. So one of the things that's key to health and vitality are what are called genomes on the DNA that make up this type of human body. And there are other types of human bodies with more strands of DNA than people on Earth understand. There's 1 billion of them or more mapped out in supercomputers even on Earth. And they know that being able to turn off or on, like switches, these genomes control what your body does, whether it gets cancer or not, whether it dies at 80 or 2,000 years old. There are telomeres on the end of the DNA, and every time your cells duplicate, they shrink a little. That's called aging. That's not normal. The telomeres should not be shrinking. Something manipulated that. It's been passed on generation after generation genetically. So turning on the genomes is healthy and important. There's no science on Earth available to people or the technology to do that. People on Earth can connect to beings not from this world who have that technology and are willing to bring it here one day when people are sane enough and not crazy as they are now in order to be able to benefit from it and share this with all life without prejudice, without bias. Very important. There are technologies that use original Royal Raymond Rife frequencies that were cures for cancer, sound frequencies precisely focused that get rid of the bacteria, which is cancer. It gets in cells. It doesn't proliferate unless your immune system drops. And these are frequencies that are designed to kill certain kind of microscopic life you can't see without killing good cells at all. That technology, for the most part, has been suppressed on this planet. When it came out, it was closed down by what we call the military-industrial complex because it would have displaced too many workers worldwide in interrelated industries and caused great problems that way. So they justified suppressing it. It's not right, it's not good, it's despicable, but it's because of fear that these people had that they made these incorrect decisions. So you have the telomere function oxygenating the blood, getting the antioxidant capabilities going on in the system so that toxins which oxidize and collect and clog things are broken down and flushed out of the system. And the air in the planet atmosphere is very polluted from a million different chemicals, all kinds of gases emitted by people in industry that cannot and never will be good for people. And people have had these genes in their bodies having to adjust to this pollution, which is a great mark of strength of human bodies as they're on Earth to withstand this stuff. So to find good ways to have a healthier life while you're alive, first of all, the most important thing is we need to get rid of being influenced by subconscious fear. Fear of the present and fear of the future are most destructive. When people focus their imagination this way in their ignorance or unconscious or how they were brought up, as most people do on Earth today, they're adding energy from the Atma that is their soul, their own energy, which is non-nuclear, non-atomic. It is energy, but of a much finer nature. And they're pumping up these negative things and putting it out in the atmosphere saturated with such things. And that comes back in the laws of the physical universe as one of the primary laws of physics. Every action creates an equal and opposite reaction in space-time. It affects molecules in the air, and it comes back. We put out negative stuff, fear, that's what you're going to get back. The leaders of this planet are doing that every day of the week, including religious leaders. They're busy in their own unconsciousness putting out and supporting negative things, making decisions based on subconscious influences that affect how they make decisions they don't even know are there. So to live a good life, the first thing we have to do, and to attract into our life and cross paths with things that can benefit us. We need to work with the first sound behind creation, plug directly into it. We do that through you'll feel it vibrating a gland in the center of your brain. It opens a door, and that door becomes an open door from the Atma you are, soul, to be more consciously aware of the body it's running, and that it is not the body that it's running. Number one. Because then you can bring more energy in here that can revitalize. Can have you cross paths with things can help you revitalize, whether it's Rife equipment, frequency-based sound equipment, that can cure diseases, kill bacteria, or it's an oxygenating thing, or it's a something that's antioxidant. All of these things make a difference in health and vitality if the being running the body becomes more aware. Otherwise, they are very limited in what they can do. So we need to work with a number of things. For me, at the core of it is the hue, the first omnipresent. Omnipresent meaning everywhere in all the multi-dimensions of creation. One energy. And it's dividing itself up in different levels to support molecular time rates of matter on different parallel dimensions. The universe is built like that. All right? There are doorways between these parallel dimensions that other more advanced races that travel the stars have mapped out. They know how to get around the universe much far beyond the speed of light because there's no limitations to the speed of light. So I wanted to share this with all of you. And Perry, you may want to add something to all of this about incorporating healthy things to revitalize the body while you're working with the hue.
Yes, also, Scott, I think will be very helpful. If people who are listening to our radio show, they can ask for help to remove their secondary implants from their friends. That will how to have less fear, to control their fears better.
When you work
Maybe.
with the hue, you begin to make connections with beings, and I don't mean psychically. I have to make this distinction. I'm not against psychics or putting anybody down. It's just that psychic energies work with the four lower dimensions of time-space: etheric, mental, causal, astral, people have heard of it, and the physical. And there are 144 parallel dimensions in each of those planes. It's a big universe. Before you even get to what the Buddhists call the void. And there's many realities above that. They work differently. So when you're working with these energies, working with the hue, it begins to transmit through you for your benefit and the benefit of others. As it moves through you, it increases your intelligence, turns on things you've been made to forget, awakens former understandings you had before they were suppressed in galactic history, before this lifetime on Earth. It begins to recover these things so that instead of when fear comes up in your subconscious about the present or future and reacting to it and adding to it, you pull back. You go into the hue and it shuts off these subconscious drives, like turning off a switch in a computer. And then you're free to explore more. If they come up again, you choose not to indulge in them out of a bad habit and go into the hue and it shuts them off. It's a way we work into mastery of ourselves as beings. Along the process, along the way, things come into our lives, cross our paths that can benefit us. We are also recovering what's called right discrimination. This means the ability to plug into the universe beyond the atmosphere of Earth, in the multiverse, gain its wisdom, and make better decisions about what we should do at any given moment. Because most people are making decisions based and promoted from fear. And those are always, in every case, incorrect decisions. Because fear is negative. It creates repercussions that are negative. It can't be otherwise. So we want to step away from being reactive to and being part of good and bad, right and wrong, up and down, positive and negative. We want to get into the energy that's behind it. That's what we're doing when we're going into the hue. Now, there are different things that we've both experienced along this way that help the body survive better, be at more ease, and a person to live in what we call serenity of being. That's not happy blissfulness and then sadness, opposites. It is a serene state of confidence the Atma has that's beyond emotional reaction to things. That's the best way of putting it. So we both had different things. We've used some rife equipment. You've got some oxygen stuff that oxygenates the blood. Breath of fire from very
Yes.
ancient yoga. Really, it was not invented on Earth and was brought here from other worlds. That super oxygenates and energizes the body. There are different things people can do. So we're going to have a hotel meeting, right, Perry, on the
Your
4th.
Saturday 4th, my Sunday 5th
Okay.
December.
And it's going to be recorded and then put up on Perry's YouTube so you can all take advantage of it. I think there's going to be over 80 people there. And we'll do a Zoom session like this and just live with all those people and record it. And I'll guide people out of their bodies beyond Earth to get more experience about this. And Perry translates it into Thai for the people there. It's kind of a clever, unique way of doing things, but it's benefiting a lot of people. So that,
And
go ahead, Perry.
those foreigners who live in Thailand, if they want to join, you can contact me too. We still have time until Saturday afternoon. Because in the morning we have group journey with you, Scott. You speak English, right? So any of them can speak English too.
Yeah, in the morning, some people are still groggy. It's better for them to leave their body with me anyway, so it's all good. So, I think Perry said that she had to turn some people away because from this event, but I was talking with her and so, you should let as many people come as you want as they want. She can contact some of you. She said we're full. Let them come if she wants to. It's her choice. But it won't be
Yeah,
a problem for us to work with 100 or more people. That's not a problem. It means that half the people that will come to it have been on these journeys at the hotel a number of times. And they've gotten over their fear of leaving their body and they've had experience and they can help the new people that come have more experience in an easier way. So it's not all on Perry's shoulders. Those people can also help because they have experience. So that's a good thing. And I think we needed to put this out on this radio show, which will be up on our YouTube channel, just to help people a little bit. I think maybe, I don't know if you want to do it on this show, but we spoke about different types of things for health that people can do to vitalize their body, cure diseases and things like that. Obviously, on a planet like Earth, we cannot prescribe cures for anything without getting in trouble with authorities because they're protecting trillion-dollar industries in what's called allopathic medicine, which addresses symptoms with drugs and does not address cures at all for anything, whether it's for human beings or vets for animals. So that is holding back this planet a great deal because the doctors who are doing their best are not taught how to cure anything or address cures. So we have to find alternative ways that work because legally and other ways we can apply those to ourselves
Mhm.
without seeing a doctor, without consulting a doctor, as long as we do it for ourselves and we're not trying to sell it as a doctor to someone else, then we can do this. And it's perfectly fine. I think that's what I wanted to share, Mary.
Yeah, myself, I use like right frequency too, to get a better life and oxygenate. How you say? Give
Yeah,
oxygen into
like a
your
little spray thing in your mouth that'll help oxygenate the blood. There are different things people can use to change the circumstances of their life, physically, their health, a great deal.
blood.
It's
And if someone like to get it for free, I mean, just do the breath of fires, to start from the
well,
beginning.
breath of fire is not known to most people. It's a way of breathing, super breathing to get the body super oxygenated and brings more energy into the body to heal.
You just got to try, and you can feel like tingling in the bodies. The cells is like, oh, you got to try it, do it, and you
Yeah.
will experience it.
So you can share more about that with people at the hotel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, you
will.
can show them and do it with them and have them do it with you and all that. That would be a good thing, right? Be nice if you
Sure.
could do that when they first come before you have me on. Get them all fired up a bit. It'd be good for everybody. So I'd leave that to you, but you can think about it, see when you want to do it. But I think it'd be a good
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, and once they know how to do it for themselves, they can do it, right? Take it
Yeah.
from you.
Correct.
Nobody can keep it from them. Okay. We're not being specific about what these alternatives are for one good reason. I am not part of, nor do I promote other companies or their products that claim health this or that. I work with the Hue because it is not owned by any organization, religion, metaphysical group, or any person on this planet. It is not created or originated by anybody on Earth. It's part of the one living energy that supports all life, and you cannot control or patent that. And if you attempt to, you're in trouble. Big trouble. Because it is the one energy, living energy, that supports all life, and it doesn't tolerate such things. So when I work with the Hue, there's never any cost or charge for my part. When I sell books, there has to be, because otherwise Amazon won't print them on demand in France and get them to anybody in France or Australia. You know, you can't get books in people's hands. The cost of postage is prohibitive. It's exorbitant. You can't do it. If I want to get an ebook into somebody's hands, I have to have a way of getting them downloading it. And that's just as easy for Amazon or Barnes & Noble in the United States or iBooks or anybody like that. You can go and buy a $9 ebook and download it and you've got the book, okay, for an ebook reader. So those are the options. And I have to work with other people or I can't get these books into anybody's hands on this planet. So that there is where I do charge because I'm required to in order to make it possible for people to get the books all over the world. You can't send a £1 book from the United States to Germany. It costs $60. You can't do it. If a book costs 16 and the postage is 60, this is why it can't be done that way. So I want to make that clear to everybody. When you go into the Hue, you're plugging into the source energy, prime creator, what people call the supreme being. It's not a being on a throne you worship because it never required that we worship it. It is a source of all beings collectively connected together, and it is bigger than the sum of its parts. It only requires that we respect it and each other. Not just life on Earth, but be aware of and respect all the life that's out there in the bigger God, the greater universe. This is required. If people seek freedom of being and consciousness, that is required. It's very important I say this to people because I'm telling them the truth, one of the greatest truths behind the entire creation. You want to advance fast? Stop praying like you're praying to something you think you can never see or understand, and start giving it respect and love to yourself and all beings. It listens to that much more immediately than anything else. So I can help people with this. They may fight me on that or think they're fighting me on it, but they're only fighting themselves because they're just getting in their own way. This is not the kind of thing that's taught on this planet. I realize this. But it's the truth, nevertheless. If the Hue can bring life and light and consciousness into the world's religious beliefs, it will change them for the better. It will uplift them. But people have to do the work. It's not going to be given to them on a golden platter where they sit there and eat a hamburger and do nothing. There are ways and techniques for people to wake this stuff up, but they have to employ that. They have to practice it, put it into action once they discover what those things are. Whether it's for consciousness, be able to leave the body consciously and at will, which is normal for normal planets with human beings on it, by the way, unlike Earth, or whether it's to have the body healthy all times, whether you can make a body live 80 years or 1,000. For beings to have bodies that live that long genetically on Earth, people have to be consciously aware enough to not overpopulate the planet. Those kinds of gifts, those kinds of abilities come with a certain responsibility. You can't get around this. So the first thing is for people to recover who they are. What they are and have always been that has never now or ever been one of these that runs these. Because that's the first key to awakening anything. You have anything else you want to add to that, Perry?
Now I'm ready for the journey.
Okay. When we start the journey part of this, I serve as a kind of guide, but not someone who lords their presence over anybody else, not someone who requires that you put me or anybody I introduce to you on a pedestal to be worshiped, because that's a trap. It is to learn how to respect each other and stand in your own gravity as a being, as a spherical being, because what we really look like. Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why are planets and moons and suns or stars round? They are patterned after their creators. In other words, planets and moons and suns and stars are round because their creators are round, whole living energies that have learned how to run for short periods of time genetic forms like this. On Earth, most people are very unconscious about this fact, and they think they're one of these and they're afraid to lose it. So people live in fear, morning, noon, and night, and it's completely unnecessary. It takes some courage to learn how to leave your body at will, but here's the kicker. Everybody on Earth does it every night without knowing it. When that body goes to sleep, nobody's home. It's being run on automatic from a distance. And when you come back in the morning, it wakes up. Your consciousness is there to get it up and move it around, or that body won't get off the bed. It can't even get up and walk. It can't even breathe. Bodies do not run themselves. Brains don't run themselves. Something else runs them. You get in a car as a human being. Here's this car. It's got gas. It's got an engine. It sits there and does nothing till you turn the key on and then you drive it. It's the same way one of these human bodies work. For the atom, for soul, who you really are. It's very important to get this information out because it's not something brand new being introduced to people here. It's something they've been made to forget under terrible situations in the past, before this life, and they've just forgotten it. So once it's brought to their attention, they begin to say, wow, I used to know that. How did I forget that? And then it starts to unravel for the better from there. We go on these journeys. I start working with the sound or the tones of the hue to connect with other realities. Remember, I'm connecting into an energy that has no negative nature in it, no positive or negative, something benevolent behind that does not work in opposites, good and bad, up and down. It works in an energy that's supportive and loving of all life, but it helps the individual beings like us become co-creators with it. This is why we exist. It's why we have bodies on Earth or any planet or any plane, to learn how to become a co-creator with that source. I begin the tones, and then we'll go out of our bodies, just like you do every night, through the simple thing we call daydreaming. What is daydreaming? You know how easy it is for you to daydream? You're sitting at a table and you're looking out your window and you look at the trees, or you're by the ocean, you're in the mountains, and you might be doing something. You might be at work, listening to a teacher in a classroom, and you're thinking about being on a ski trip, or you're seeing the ocean somewhere, maybe even being on another planet. That is daydreaming, and we all do it very well. But people on Earth are not trained to understand what it is they're doing. The brain of a physical body does not imagine anything ever. That's not its purpose or function. There's no camera or motion picture screen in the brain cells on which you can project images and see them. The spherical being, the Atma, that's running the body that you've long been made to forget, plugs into this one energy and sees things somewhere in creation, in the multiverse. That is daydreaming. That is imagination. It can be very organized or very scattered depending on how much fear is brought into that imagination. If you don't bring any fear into it, it's very clear, very vivid. So I'll begin those tones now. You. You. That opens some doors through the pineal gland in the center of the brain so that you can bring back more awareness as the Atma when you're operating beyond your body to this life on earth, to enlighten that which was never trained in any of this growing up on this backward planet of backwardly misdirected fellow human beings, I should say. What was done to people to bring them here with little or no former memory intact, why they're here, who they are, what they once knew, or what their purpose for existing is, can be undone, reversed. People are terrified often of leaving their body. What the ironic thing about this is that they do it every night anyway. When the body stops functioning as what we call death, they do it for the last time. But they've done it their whole life without knowing it. What this work is about is to help people know it while they're still running a body that's alive. Makes all the difference, because one of the great advantages of this is fear of death is neutralized. Fear that you're a body that can be taken from you and that you somehow will lose your existence is neutralized. What you really are that is not a body that runs it cannot be harmed by any technology, on or off world, on any dimension or any level, by any being or anyone or anything. Bodies can come and go. The Atma you are, soul, originated in the source behind all life. What more advanced races among the stars call prime creator, the source. The more advanced races that travel the stars and multi-dimensions within the physical universe, or that leave their own bodies to go into higher realities beyond the physical universe, understand the relationship with toroidal 0 point, or the energy of the universe that's behind and supporting all things that float in it, like galaxies and suns and moons and stars. They understand how to work with an energy that is not nuclear or atomic in nature, and so they come up with ways to circumnavigate creation that people on Earth are prevented from knowing because they think there are limits to things like the speed of light when there really isn't any. Physical eyes detect and determine light travels at approximately 286,000 plus miles per second. But it doesn't limit there. The human eyes can only see certain small narrow band of frequency, and then you can't see. So human eyes on Earth look into the universe at Hubble telescope, time-lapse photography images of colorful galaxies and nebula, and they see this black void behind it all. If you're out of your body as an atma looking at it, it looks like a vast field of white golden light in which things float, create electromagnetic whirls that hover there in this other energy. The energy that we're referring to is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. It is not a single being like a soul or an atma that sits on a throne somewhere and dictates its orders to everyone. There is a center, a nexus, far beyond the physical universe, where you could say that all atmas running all forms in all the planes connect, and it becomes far more than the sum of its parts. And it is from that center we all originated. Which means we were there before the worlds of time and space were created. The hue, as it's working now throughout the multidimensional universe, this omnipresent first sound that you heard, is changing. The old experiment of good and evil, which has failed miserably in billions, hundreds of billions of years, to produce co-creators willing and conscious with Source itself, has failed. It never really worked very well, and it's being replaced with something new that can remove these subconscious fears and drives and replace it with a wisdom that only works in one direction. And that direction is to be inspired to create and imagine new ways of doing things with others for the uplifting benefit of all that exists, not just life on Earth. If you're sitting down, and hopefully you are, or lying down with your eyes closed, what happens when you close your eyes is you shut off the incoming doorway from frequencies of matter and things you see in the world around you. That part of the brain is off. You simply open your eyes, it's on. If you close your eyes, it's off. It's just that simple. When you close your ears, you can hear a roaring, rumbling thunder like ocean crashing waves. And you think that's the blood running through your brain. It's not. It's the sound that comes off the next major division we call the astral plane, which has a universal sound like the ocean crashing on a shore. It's part of the hue sound, first word, first vibration behind all that came after it. Each one of us is comprised of this, like an ocean of sound and light that is like a huge whirling galaxy in a brilliant blue void comprised of individual beings circling around a center nexus. And we originated from there. In fact, we're still there. The Atma, the real you that runs a body, is multidimensional in capability. It means it can run bodies on a number of levels at one time simultaneously. This you were all made to forget as well, for the most part. When we go into the hue today, it begins to work with us as a teacher, but it also, in a sense, respects what we imagine in it, both good and bad, and it is the one power that manifests what we imagine. We are like drops of a pure energy, of this one field of energy of light and sound, that create through the imagination either good or bad or both. We're meant to discover how to create with the imagination only that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life in the grand multidimensional creation, which means more advanced races understand between hundreds of millions of worlds how to work together for the benefit of all. And that this is kind of organizational things that are going on outside of Earth, even though the people of Earth have been deliberately kept from knowing it. That's changing too, because races from the stars have already informed the leaders of this planet that they must disclose the existence of life beyond Earth. If this planet is to survive the misdirection of its leaders who make decisions based on fear, this is required. If there hadn't been at least some intervention in this planet from advanced life beyond this world, the leaders of this planet would have annihilated it in nuclear war already. These beings we're going to meet are not interested in running governments or taking over the Earth. They are interested in preventing us from destroying ourselves, because that would harm hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of other Atmas running body forms in both parallel dimensions and other places in the galaxy. And we do not have the right to annihilate ourselves and harm other life elsewhere. And they're not going to tolerate us doing it either. Fortunately for us, or we'd all be gone now. Imagine being up near the ceiling. This is daydreaming, just like you do when you're idly daydreaming at home with your eyes open in the daytime. With your eyes closed, you're daydreaming that you're seeing what it looks like for you to be up near the ceiling, looking down on your body, sitting there with its eyes closed, lying on a bed or sitting in a chair or on a couch. You just imagine it. And when you see this, it's not the brain that's seeing any of it. It's you. It's hovering above that body, running it. When you listen from out here, you can hear a humming like an electrical sound, or a deep roaring thunder, a crashing ocean moving around you. And it's the sound of the universe. Toroidal energy, zero-point energy, whatever you want to call it in quantum physics. It's very real living energy. It connects everything to everything else. The Atma you are running a body is telepathically connected to every other Atma running everything everywhere else throughout the multiverse. And as we learn how to plug into this, we have access to almost infinite wisdom and understanding. Because then we're relying on the greater one intelligence to help us with our lives, to help us move forward, to make better decisions than we've made before about everything. This is what we call right discrimination. It is one of the highest faculties of the Atma, what people call soul. When it's awakened or turned back on because you begin to actually use it, then you have access to this. Be in the atmosphere at 10,000 feet. Hovering in the air, whether it's day or night does not matter. As the Atma, the spherical one that you are, you can visualize seeing a body standing in front of the sphere you are. It's a projection of pure energy. It is not atomic or nuclear. It's not made of atoms, but it looks just like you. About 36, perfectly healthy, flawlessly trim, vibrant in every imaginable way. And when you look to each side of you, you're going to see a man and a woman standing there with a spherical being running a form they're showing you about the same age. They are not from Earth. They are kind, very wise, very advanced, and well trained. They do not invade your privacy or read your mind. They are telepathically in communication with you for your benefit, and they are here to help you by shutting off subconscious drives and fears that normally you would take with you out of your body, like you do every night. Sometimes you have dreams, you call them, that are wonderful. Sometimes you have nightmares. This is all determined by the fear you take to bed with you at night, or not. So you're simply floating in the atmosphere, looking right down 10,000 feet. You can look right through the roof of where you live, and there you are hovering near the ceiling, both places simultaneously as this spherical presence. And you're running that body that is now in the sleep state. It is a trance state. It means the body's being run, heart working, breathing, blood circulating while you're gone. There's a golden thread of white golden light that's connected to the pineal gland. It is not nuclear energy and cannot be severed by anything or any technology anywhere for any reason. So all of you leave your body every night, but for the most part, most of you aren't aware of what it is you're doing when you're gone, when that body's asleep. You go out and you come back with energy to keep it alive, because bodies do not run themselves. Brains do not run a body on automatic. It is you, the being, not nuclear energy, true energy, first sound energy. The individualization, like a drop out of a mighty ocean of the same energy that runs that body. To gain experience, to feel, taste, touch, smell, everything in a particular time rate of molecules like on planet Earth. And you get to understand and feel and experience how things are built and how things are formed. And then eventually you're meant to take that information back to that place where you originated, far above what the void is that some esoteric groups know about on Earth. Some of them think that's the end. God, you can't go beyond it, but this is not correct. There are pure positive planes beyond that where we originated. Part of our destiny as beings is to return to that source while we're running bodies on any plane of existence, on any planet. More advanced races know how to do this from birth. There are many human inhabited worlds out there in the Milky Way galaxy, and you should all know human beings did not originate on this planet in any race form you see present. They did not come out of an amoeba that grew into a fish that got to walk on land and became a Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, and then became human. No. Those are just theories that are unprovable. There's no missing link anybody will find on this planet because human beings did not originate on Earth. They were brought here over different epochs and period of time going back 65 million years to the end of the dinosaur age. One of the other problems of Earth and people incarnating here is that the Earth's poles have been flipping every 100,000 years, destroying the land masses, rising up from the seafloor, new continental land masses. Very violent affair. We would have already had one of those. It's been over 100,000 years since the last one, but something stopped that permanently. So Earth could begin to evolve like many other worlds do over hundreds of millions of years that don't flip their poles. This is very highly classified, the fact that this world has flipped its poles. And that too is going to be disclosed to the population of this planet. Now you are imagining yourself out in space, far above the planet Earth. You can see the polar ice caps, the land masses, the oceans, the moon, barren, no atmosphere, does not turn on its axis as it revolves around the Earth, always showing us the same face. And in the distance, the yellow sun. Now you notice when you're up here in space that you are in a circle of beings around a very dear friend of mine who serves as a focal point for these journeys. His name is Ambassador Torrelian, and he is one of the Sayres race, original human races that evolved out in the universe billions of years ago, and over 1 billion years ago immortalized their physical bodies. This means they dematerialized the body and stored the DNA structure, more strands than humans, into a teardrop, one faculty within the spherical nature of their being. And they can draw on the hue energy that we see out here, which is the white golden light, not black. The Atma can see it for what it is. It is everywhere around the Earth, around the moon, around the sun. Billions of stars, easily seen. Big blue ones, giant blue ones. Yellow ones like the sun. Red dwarfs and giant red planets. Many of those worlds in the Milky Way are trinary and binary sun systems, which means they have more than one sun circling each other around which planets revolve. Astrophysicists on Earth know this today. that this is true. In space, you don't need oxygen to breathe. You don't feel heat or cold. You are a type of energy that is part of the omnipresent field of white golden light you see around us. The same thing is it. But you come from a much higher level of this same one energy, originally. And you are a beautiful spherical energy with a white core and layers of teardrop shapes that are individual faculties in layers that cover the entire spectrum of light to a violet exterior, a golden energy field around it, and we're floating there, showing each other bodies that look like us on Earth, but perfect. About 36, young adult, flawless. And this is how we show each other. More advanced states, you would look at another spherical being and know who it is. You'd see an impression of individuality. But in this way, we can recognize each other. And we are in a circle in space, free of gravity, free of time and space. Out here in this energy, this void so-called, you cannot store negative emotions and imagination, subconscious fears, or anything else. You can carry it with you, but you can't store it in it. It does not allow for that. So out here, with the help of this man and woman, these friends who are helping you keep fears shut off, you have a more expanded consciousness and can comprehend what we're doing, as if it was something you forgot long ago, and you say, oh my God, how did I forget that? Terrellian, in the center of the group of beings floating, we're outside Earth's atmosphere, out in space. You can see billions of stars clearly floating there. And around them all, and extending out to the Andromeda galaxy, our nearest neighbor, and out to other galaxies, the same omnipresent white golden field of light. You look at each other, the atmospherical, hovering above the body forms we're showing each other, and you look the same. There is structure to the atma, or soul, but it isn't a human body with 2 arms and 2 legs. There are many higher forms of genetic bipedal creatures that atmas run out in the universe. The difference is many of those races know it. People on Earth have long been made to forget this. This process begins to awaken what they've been long made to forget. Terrellian is standing, showing you a body, a spherical being like you hovering above it, but his body's 18 feet tall. Human. Long, slightly curvy blonde hair to his shoulders, slightly pointed ears like an elf, big bulbous blue eyes, like a Greek god, white gown, down to his bare feet. And he's holding 2 thumbs up. There's a white golden energy around each one. It's brighter than the field of light around us. And it comes from a dimension very far above the physical universe. And all he's doing is maintaining a safe space like a bubble around us. No negative being, technology, or nature can even see us here, much less penetrate this protective field. Terrellian is simply showing you what his body form looked like 1 billion years ago, before they immortalized it, the entire race. The genomes, the 2-stranded DNA that make up human bodies on Earth, comes from them, originally comes from them. The other spacefaring races in this galaxy and many others, even in the astral plane, originate from the Say race. They were the highest genetic scientists, spiritually, I would say. And they developed these different forms that the Atma, you, could run, and run higher faculties of enlightened awareness through them, until something happened in galactic history that perverted all of that. Everybody on Earth knows something was done to them that's made them forget almost everything. Most are terrified to remember it. Most people are terrified to walk and face what they think is the supreme being face to face, because they think it's too far above them. They can't comprehend him. They want to humble themselves on the ground before it. That source does not require that we do that. It requires that we stand head high, understanding what we are as a spherical being, respecting the source and each other. This is all that is required of us as beings. People on Earth do not do this with each other. even that simple thing. So that's the first thing that needs to be recovered in people if this world is going to be transformed instead of destroyed. Very simple. Turelian is simply showing you what his body was over 1 billion years ago, before their entire race got so evolved. They did was dematerialize the DNA of that body and store the pattern in a faculty of the Atma, the spherical being they are. The omnipresent hue around us, the toroidal 0-point energy, they draw upon it, can instantly manifest a body around that DNA to carry out a mission or purpose, and then dissolve it and turn it, save it. So they don't have the burden of carrying around a body like we do, pushing it through lives as it grows old and all that kind of thing. He's serving as an example of how we may evolve. He does this teaching by demonstration, by personally demonstrating it. We are telepathically in communication with him, so this rubs off. A little here, a little there. We are in space, like a bunch of planets in one single orbit, spherical, revolving around Turelian, not really moving, just here. And you can see the poles of planet Earth, the ice caps, the moon and the sun. And if you look out in space, you suddenly find that we are hovering above the entire Milky Way galaxy, up in this white golden light, which otherwise you would think was black, that you've seen in photographs on the internet of outer space and galaxies. But it isn't. Not to you. And you can look down and see the entire Milky Way galaxy, and off to the left in the distance, another galaxy like ours called Andromeda. The beings that inhabit that galaxy and the Galactic Alliance, headquartered on a planet near the galactic core of this universe, Milky Way, not in it, but near it, call that galaxy Cepheus, the distant wonder. So you now can label and see two galaxies from above them. And here we are floating in this void of white golden light, comprised of the same thing and a little higher energy than what's in the physical universe. If you were to travel to the very central nucleus, what people call a black hole in a galaxy, as an Atma, you would be transported up to a higher reality and come out the nucleus of another galaxy in a higher molecular time rate. There are 144 levels of these galaxies before you even get to the emotional plane, where all emotion comes from, what people call the astral. It is a multi-dimensional creation. You might as well begin to remember it now, because you all once knew it well. One of the things that happens in exploring the hue outside of the negatively compacted atmosphere of planet Earth is that you are in an energy field that does not contain any of the past deeds beings have done to each other on that planet. You are an energy field that is free of such influences. You're up in space above the galaxies. If we wish to, we can go from here with Turelian. There are other beings present here, which I refer to as master teachers, who are not from Earth. One is named Ramu, and he has a golden staff made of quartz in his right hand, about 6 feet tall, with an Egyptian ankh, the last symbol for eternity, with an oval, elongated oval with a hole in it, and a cross. It's a device. It is his characteristic symbol that he carries with him at all times. He has been on Earth in ancient times, helped a few people out of this trap we call incarnation, the illusion of being a body. And here he goes with us on this journey, simply to demonstrate telepathically what he knows, so some of you can pick up on it. There is another being here named Etta. He is a Dren. He's from a water-covered, ocean-covered planet, except for a few islands near the equator, and it is on the opposite side of the Milky Way galaxy from Earth. And it is in a third higher parallel dimension, or parallel time rate of matter, still in the physical universe. And the Drens are silica-based. They come from a planet of race of beings called Oceanans, who are human, pale blue skin, long shiny black hair, emerald green eyes, slightly pointed ears, elegant, very ancient. And there is a teacher here named Master Opelum from that world, and they are kindred symbiotic spirits. Etta is silica-based, which means the DNA that makes up his pale green body, not slimy. He's about 3 feet long, hovering beside Terrellian, with his tail glowing from the root to its tip like crystal opal in bright sunlight. And he's showing you the pure body form of the one he has on that planet. And that is an immortalized body form. He is not human, but he has more of the pure qualities and characteristics of a benevolent human being than humans do on Earth. He has big bulbous blue eyes, a long snout, looks like he's amused about something when his mouth is closed, strong arms and hind legs, dexterous hands and fingers and toes like a human. He can stand upright, run on all fours, or the tail, when it glows, as an organic biological creature, develop with the ability to defy gravity and fly through the air. So he's hovering beside Terrellian. My cat, who recently translated from this planet, who's been being trained by him, is hovering beside him with his tail glowing, a male cat. And above these beings you see a spherical being, an Atma, just like you. You're being introduced to such things so that you can be more aware of them when you return to your body on Earth. We are up in space, high above the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies, and off in the distance you can see millions of other galaxies. Now we're going to go on a journey, and you're going to look up in space. You're suggested that you simply place your attention upward, and Terrellian's going to open a doorway, and I'm helping him do it. I am actually standing beside him, although the form I'm showing you, about 36, is very short compared to him. He's 18 feet. I'm about 5'10" or something like that. So you see a kind of a vortex, a donut-shaped opening start to whirl open. There's a blue star in the center of it, and it expands out to millions of blue little stars moving clockwise. And on the other side of it, you can see a pale blue luminous void. Doesn't appear to be anything in it, but a brighter cobalt blue light than the energy of the white golden light we're in now. And you're going to see all of us move upward, collectively as a group of beings around Terrellian, up into the center of this opening. And now as we pass through it, this whirling energy looks like blue-green water, but it's luminous light. It has a sound of a high note of a flute, pleasant, whirling around us. And we move up through it, and as we do, the entire group of us appears like the size of a dime to the size of a dinner plate. So we are a small thing moving through this opening. And as we come up inside it, the vortex closes below us. And now, when we look around us, there's Terrellian, and what we see in every direction is a pale cobalt blue light, vibrant, soothing, but nothing physical, nothing constructed. This is what some esoteric groups on Earth call the void. And you feel like you're moving at tremendous speed into a clockwise higher spiral direction. And as we go further in this vast area, you begin to see way off in the distance a white speck of light. And as we approach it, it expands and extends as far as you can see, straight as an arrow, left and right, into a luminous white sandy beach set against a tropical paradise. They're made of crystalline materials that are alive, that look like trees. And in the distance, as we approach this land, you see a long snow-covered mountain range, and at the base, crystalline pyramids and towers and domes, and then a brown mossy path that winds towards us miles into the foreground, which empties into a circular flat white marble floor with a fountain in the center of it. and botanical paradise of flowers 4 feet high, extending in circles into the distance for miles. The fountain has a statue standing in the center of it. It looks like white alabaster stone with scalloped edges. A cylindrical tube supports it, a square base, and around it a white marble seating platform with scrolled ornate legs, 12 of them. The statue is the image of a bronze-skinned man, bald, bronzed of skin, golden eyes, gold, 2 gold bracelets on each of his upper arms, a white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare ankles, and his hands are down at his side with the palms facing outward. And out of those palms is pouring a white golden light, filling this bowl, dropping around the outer circumference of this alabaster scalloped fountain in a glimmering even sheet that vanishes in the ground. Standing beside this, with his right hand up in greeting, is the actual being the statue represents. This being's name is Sat Nam, true name, first sound, first manifestation of any form and human-like appearance you will see in creation. He stands between the infinite light and power in the higher planes above and the created universes below. And he knows we are here. This is the first reality above the void. There are many dimensions of time and space below here, below the void. First the etheric, the mental, what people call the mental plane, the causative plane, astral or emotional plane, and the physical universes of matter, like the planet Earth you came from. And when you are in this presence of the energy in this place, the air is more beautiful blue than you've ever seen, and it's vibrant. And if you look closely, behind the blue you'll see a white golden light powering it. You can see a shaft of white golden light coming out to the head of that fountain statue of Sat Nam that comes out the palms of his hands. It flows through this statue in different directions, down into the void, and then down into the lower worlds, all the way back to the space around the planet Earth and into Earth and the moon and out amongst the stars. You are operating, for now, in a plane where there is no negative nature whatsoever, no opposites, no fear. You cannot bring any negative nature here whatsoever. It cannot cross the void. You remember the man and woman, the beings from the Galactic Alliance I said were helping you when they're out of their bodies? They're in ships stationed around Earth in the solar system. There are 4 couples on those ships, those saucer-shaped craft. 3 are couples running it, and 1 couple is sitting in the back with their heads lowered out of their bodies, joining us on this journey. And they are keeping what you call subconscious fears and drives from affecting you for now. They are here. When you go over to this fountain, each one of you can approach this fountain, and if you wish, a little beam of it can be sent right into the physical form that looks like you. You lift your head up smiling, it goes up into the white core of your being that is the Atma, the spherical you hovering above it, and brightens it. This is to help you remember your life as a being in the upper realities before you started playing with bodies and time and space, in those dimensions created below the void. Above Sat Nam's realm, as you're going to see this white golden shaft of light above the fountain, is coming down through another opening. And it's coming from a place you can see floating out in a brighter cobalt blue atmosphere. It's a single, solitary, huge floating circular landmass with a luminous white sandy beach around it, 6 snow-covered mountains in the center, and we're moving up to go into it around Turelian until we find ourselves looking down. You see the vortex close, you can see Sat Nam's fountain and him standing next to it, and then it vanishes, and you are hovering above the 6 snow-covered mountain peaks. This is an especially created parallel dimension between the fifth realm and the sixth reality above the void. It is a new training ground in which master teachers and the beings who are the mechanics of creation, we call silent mentors, have operations now for the first time to, in a sense, influence each other for the greatest good of all life. These silent mentors have 4 teaching facilities out in different areas of this floating circular landmass. There are no planets, no moons, no suns, no stars here. Just the sound of millions of men and women's voices singing the hue until it blends into one whole uplifting tone all around us. This brilliant blue atmosphere is backed by a white golden light that comes from higher realities. To the left, to the west, you look down, you can see what's called a blue glass administration tower. And it is rising out of a 100-foot wide white marble or alabaster-like stone floor. And from it extends roadways straight as an arrow, white, that cut through jungle, tropical paradises, landscape terrains, like the spokes of a bicycle in 360 degrees to end on the ocean. This, what appears to be an ocean out there, of a slightly darker, kind of a bluish, radiant light. It appears like water, but it's not. It's pure energy. Like everything else here is self-luminous. You are luminous. The mountains are luminous. The tower is luminous. This is what lights this place, not suns. The administration tower rises up many hundreds of feet to a flattened spherical area and then up to a minaret point. And there's a white shaft of white golden light running down through it from higher up, fills a fountain in the center of this flattened spherical area. You can see right through it. And it's sitting on a white marble floor with 3 concentric circles of white marble seats around it. And there are master teachers standing or sitter, men and women, showing you who they are, who teach here, with spherical atmas hovering above their perfect 36-year-old or so forms. When you partake, when you circle with Turelian as beings inside the space between these master teachers and this fountain, a ray of this fountain will enter you through the physical form that appears like you, up into the white core of your being, brightening it. And this is to help you remember now that there is a place in existence where, for the first time, the mechanics of the universe, which hold all things in place, that's their job. They don't interact normally with individual atmas or souls. They maintain creation, galaxies spinning on their axis. Millions of galaxies, all billions of them, in many different levels. The doorways or portals between them that connect higher realities to lower ones through concentric generators. And they're here simply to share with those who can come here, with the help of master teachers who are atmas like us, more advanced, how to become more like, something like a silent mentor, a cross between them and a master teacher. Something new is being brought into creation here. It cannot be reversed. It's moving in one direction, and it's moving down through the lower worlds of time and space as we speak here. When you look from above the 6 mountain peaks, you can see something, an island, a circular island, down in the center of the land between all 6. And on a white circular-like island is a pedestal, rectangular, perpendicular, curved edges like a blue gold-laced lapis lazuli, and above it a transparent cobalt blue glass-like sphere with a radiant blue star in the center of it, a shaft of white golden light coming down into it. And this goes down into the core, the center of the hollowed out interior of this floating landmass, and then it goes down into the lower worlds, from realities yet higher above. There is a blue-green luminous lake that surrounds this island in the land between the 6 mountain peaks. Then we move higher above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, it's called, meaning the first sound behind creation. And you look down and you can see north, south, east, and west. And in each quarter of a pie, there are white roadways that go down the middle of the middle half of, I guess, each quarter. 2/3 of the way towards the coast, and they turn into a clearing in all 4 sections. And each clearing, there are a different set of trees, 12. In the northwestern quadrant that you can see from where you are, you can see there are 12 giant, they look like weeping willow trees, luminous with these broad-shaped, spoon-shaped leaves, and you can look into a leaf and see a location somewhere in some world, in the lower worlds of time and space. And above them, in a circle, are floating very large spheres like Atmas, 4 times bigger than us. We're kind of in the center, down between them. And they have men and women standing with elegant gowns above each tree with a white face and long hair to their shoulders. You can't see any details in their face. And above that is this floating sphere, twice as many layers of teardrop shapes and 4 times larger than us. And these are silent mentors. They run the mechanics of creation. In the center of this is another white marble type floor and a single floating sphere, luminous, clear, transparent sphere, kind of a pale blue, and a blue luminous star in the center of it, and a shaft of white golden light coming down into it. There are 4 of these located on the landmass that floats in this void of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. You are here simply to rub shoulders with such beings. You're going to notice that Ramu and Opelum, who's from the Oceanian race, the long black hair to his shoulders and emerald green eyes, elegant gown, Etta, even my cat Starlight, and other beings, or Atmas running, he formerly ran a physical body on Earth. He's no longer on Earth. And they are learning. Simply being in the presence of such beings and the presence of master teachers is the way they teach. There are many facilities on this landmass that teach different things by different master teachers from all over the multiverse. It is a privilege to be here on this journey because some of the awareness, as far away from Earth as it is and from anything you've ever been taught, rubs off in a good way. You're going to find yourself suddenly hovering above Earth, around Turelian, where we started this journey, all the way down the physical universe, and there's the polar ice caps and the oceans and the land masses of Earth as you're familiar with it, the barren moon, the sun in the distance. And then you're going to realize something phenomenal. Not only are you hovering as a spherical being around Turelian, you're still hovering up there in one of the quadrants of the silent mentors in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. All you're doing is bringing the awareness of such things back with you to download this into the body that's asleep in the trance state we call sleep back on Earth, to enlighten it, to bring to it that which you could not have learned on Earth from anyone. There's a parallel dimension of Earth, 3rd parallel dimension higher, and you're going to see a heat wave go over like a heat wave in a desert, move over your field of vision in front of the Earth and the Moon, and it changes. Now there's an Earth in the same place that has no polar ice cap, beautiful oceans, and a huge continent centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere, and another one on the other side, 2/3 its size. And you can see a half-moon shaped beach down near the southern part, 1/3 of the way up the South Pole, glowing at you from the planet. You can see it from space. You look at the moon, here it's covered with an oxygen atmosphere and domed cities with pyramids, golden sided, and quartz capped in it. And you can see down above this half-moon shaped green glowing beach, a tropical paradise, and inland a single snow-capped mountain, and at its base to the left a huge dome covering a type of city. And you find yourself looking down and you're wiggling your bare toes of this perfect form in this glowing emerald green sand. And you're at the beach. You, a spherical being, are hovering above this body form that is detecting and filling this emerald green sand that's glowing a foot above the sand. The air smells beyond your comprehension. Pure oxygen, no pollutants, no negativity. Torellian is standing in this emerald green radiant ocean, up to his knees in the ocean water, smiling at you with his two thumbs up, and this golden light still around them. And in the distance you can see, at the back of the curve of this beach, a brown moss-covered path going back straight as an arrow that winds its way up the mountainside to enter that dome, which is at the left side of the mountain. From the top of the mountain, about a third of the way down, is a cavern, and out of it is pouring a huge roaring waterfall that drops thousands of feet down a sheer cliff face to disappear into and behind a blue-green forest that surrounds this dome city. In the dome city are three four-sided golden pyramids with quartz caps in the left third of it, and in the background a half-moon shaped mountain range with little waterfalls coming down it, put there for the aesthetic pleasure of the beings who work here. This is Earth in a higher parallel dimension of the physical universe as it is right now. Beings from the Galactic Alliance come here. There are circular blue landing pads, 3 of them in front of it, and several scout craft, disc-shaped craft landed on them. Some of the Say rays work here. Opellum works here from the Oceanian race, and other very advanced scientists, enlightened beings. There are laboratories there. There is a kind of a blue-green lake, oval-shaped, in between these little white dome dwellings, hundreds of them with little white ivory walkways between them. And Oceanian people, pale blue-skinned, walking along these paths. And other humans from other parts of the Galactic Alliance. Above the waterfall cave is another tunnel, oval-shaped with lighted, kind of round domed lights going down inside it. And that comes through what we call an interdimensional connective tunnel from this mountain to a single mountain in Northern California called Mount Shasta, to a hollowed-out interior base put there by the Galactic Alliance in 1908. We aren't going there today. You look down and you realize you're still wiggling your toes in this emerald green sand. And it's coming from a statue of a woman in a clearing, a mile inland down this moss-covered path. To the left, there's a circular clearing, and she's standing. About 10 feet tall is a quartz crystal polished statue of a woman. Her hands are up, this green light glowing around them, connecting to the beach, and you realize this is a device. When you look into her face, you look at this long silver-like hair, and she has a gold band around her forehead and a teardrop-shaped faceted crystal pointing downward. It's green. When you look into it, you can see a woman standing in a void inside this device in another reality. And that is, she's showing you a body that has long silver hair, like silver metal but soft, longer neck and fingers and toes than Earth humans, beautiful, elegant, violet eyes. Behind her, what you would call her mate, standing a little taller. And these are of a race called Zeontronomus. They are from a planet on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy called Zeontronomon 1. And they have immortalized bodies on their world. They're showing you what they look like. The forms that they're running are over 3.5 million years old, unaged. That is a different type of immortalization. And they do it for a purpose, not selfishly. Now you're at the beach, and you reach down and pull some of this green sand up. It's glowing, and it looks like little clear polished emerald crystals. The energy moves up your arm, out the top of your smiling head, and goes into the white core of the spherical being you are and out to the green layer, brightening it. This is so you remember more of what you knew when you have the courage, when enough fear is shut off. And what you knew before you were forced to be born on Earth with no memory or little former memory intact. Your life in the multiverse, which has been much more extensive than any lives you've lived on Earth. And now we're in space, hovering outside the planet, and the world changes back, a little bit lower vibration. And you can see the Earth you're used to seeing with the polar ice caps and the barren moon. And then you find yourself hovering above your body near the ceiling back on Earth. What you want to do, if you're willing, is to smile kindly on that form and send a little trickle of white golden light down into the pineal gland, the center of your brain, and let it radiate out around you so you can bring some of this journey back home to Earth, to a body and personality and consciousness and a brain that never learned it on Earth from anyone. When you're ready, open your eyes. Kind of an extensive
Thank you,
long
Scott.
journey this time.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of territory. I didn't expect to show people how to get across the void, but it wasn't up to me. So other beings who I work with decided this would be good for people to get their feet wet in a place that has no negative nature, because it'll help them on Earth in a lot of ways. You have anything you wish to add to this journey, Perry?
Yes, it is very, to me, it is very important to go on the journey because that is how you can recall yourself who you are. That's what I can say from my experience, anyway.
What's nice is too, we've recorded this journey. So when Perry puts it up on our YouTube channel, you can play it back. I would suggest that people set up a couple hours, maybe one or two, a couple hours, when they won't be disturbed by phone calls or other things. Get a cup of tea, get relaxed, lay down, sit in a chair, and then play back this journey. Because I guarantee you, you'll remember a lot more about the details the second time around than you can bring back this first time. So I want
Correct.
to wish you all, Perry, thank you for doing these. Thank you for
Thank
being
you
here.
too.
Sometimes it's difficult to come back here, but we have to do it if we want to benefit ourselves here.
Yeah.
So you can get either of those books if you wish, the Ceres Agenda, Ceres, or the Emerald Doorway, or both. And you'll find that you're beginning to remember other things as you explore them. Best way to do it is to find it out for yourself. So I guess I want to say great good wishes to all of you and see you all later.
Yeah, see you all next time. And please thumb up, subscribe, and like for this video if you think benefits other. Thank you very much, Scott. See you next time.
See you next time, Perry.